We're going. Let's chat about failure and learning from failure. Yeah, that sounds good. We'll do that. That is what we will do. See, I already have it up here. Today's goal is fail. I mean, complaining. I mean, I'm failure. I mean, complain. I broke my game. How did I break it? Well, let me show you where we're at. Doing AI stuff. And get off the screen abilities. 4, 5, 6. No, we don't need that. We don't need that. Okay, anyways. Wait, yes, we do need 5. Okay. Look, they got perception correctly now. They didn't before, the last time you saw any of this. A few streams ago. Look, they're seeing each other. Apparently, in the AI perception system, the 3 categories, enemies, friendlies, and neutrals, are somehow set in code or something? Since there's hooks in the options, maybe by 5.7, because the tutorial I was looking at is 5.2 or 4 or something, I don't know. Maybe they made that something I can adjust. But the AIs are like, oh, we're looking at each other. But then we get up here and it's like, no, look at me, fight me. And they used to be able to attack, and then I messed it up. I changed how they attack. I want them to attack with really weak shots. I made a whole thing for them. They had an ability. I've been setting up the ability for it, and it doesn't work. At first it didn't work, and then it was crashing, and then they're only shooting at 000, the world center, instead of at me. Oh, yeah, you took damage, and that's at the wrong location. I don't care if you take damage. So this prompted me to want to do something. That thing was talking about failure, but the learning from it, right? You learn from failure. If everything goes right all the time, you don't learn what not to do. It's very important to understand what not to do. Like with whatever I did here that broke my NPCs. Which I'll fix, even if I have to go back through old tutorials and old stuff. It's just annoying. When you're a solo dev, any problem like this technically means your entire project just screeches to a halt. So I'm upset at myself for breaking this. All wrong, Bork. Borked. Messed it up. It's so messy. It's so awful. Old stuff, this was causing a crash because I couldn't get the end thing with the line, but it didn't matter because none of this was ever valid anyways. And I'm coming over here and I need to get the attack target and I can't. And I'm not the avatar because I'm the avatar, not them. I don't know if this is even going to turns physical actor that is executing this ability. That should work to get the attack target, which I assign in there, but it's not valid. This isn't a valid attack target. I just want to shoot, go, bloop. I had it working before. I have a backup. Might grab this stuff from the backup again. But I also want to understand what I did. And everything that we're doing in the tutorials over here in the controller base. Get off my screen. Too much stuff. Okay. Here's what it does. The controller takes over the pawn. I just want to reference the dude I've taken over. That's fine. Run the behavior tree. You're passive to begin with. What does passive mean? Come over here. Passive state. Do you have a patrol route? Go on it. If you don't have a control route, wander around to the smart objects. That all works. Then you come down here and say, did you notice literally anything? Which currently doesn't work well when there's more than one enemy because they will notice it. We don't have that set up. I have the tutorial literally paused in the background, but again, I don't want to steal someone's content by going through that. here on this stream. Something happened. What happened? Oh, did they see it? Yeah? Then handle sense site, which right now says attack. There's an actor. That's the attack actor. All right, set him as the guy to attack. Okay, I can't get this value in the ability. I just need to say, this guy we saw, shoot at that guy we saw. Hello. The Fitness Gram Pacer test. That's interesting. Also, why didn't it show up my chat? Hey, Steinblock. Multi-stage aerobic capacity test progressively gets more difficult as it continues. Huh. Kinda mimics life, doesn't it? I say wistfully. Well, it's a good test. Thanks for chatting, because now I get to see why that didn't actually show up as the chat. It's literally not showing up. Oh, I have to have that, like, clicked on to update. I'll just leave you hanging over here. There you go. All right, OBS. I look away for a second, and it is. But it thinks, oh my goodness, stop it, OBS. What are you doing? No. Get back over here. I got so many windows. Stop it. All right, fine. Now the chat shows up. That's pretty cool. What happens if you fail the Fitness Gram Pacer test? Is that just measuring what your aerobic capacity is? Huh. Well, luckily I'm not implementing that. I'm trying to get things shooting, and it doesn't work. So I have these weird things where it's like, I was handling almost everything in the enemy base blueprint, but now I'm handling more stuff in the controller. I don't know where to put what, where. I've cleaned this up a lot, and then everything broke. But this shouldn't have broken anything. This is the old logic for shoot at things, because this had get attack target, and for some reason here that works. But over here, would I have get attack target? No, that doesn't work, so I had to stop using it. Story time. I was the lead for one of the worst projects in the 2010s. It shipped like a miracle. A terrible, horrible miracle. Everyone knew it wasn't good while we're working on it. Every time we tried to fix it, people paying the project company for the project would just ask for more stuff instead of letting us have enough time to fix stuff. I'm not going to say what it was or where I was working, but it's a blemish on my history. It was awful. Negotiating from a place of no power? Oof. Do not recommend. So we'd come into, like, this guy would come over. We'd talk to him. He'd be like, hey, I want crazy thing X. Like, I don't like the animations, so instead of letting you guys fix the animations or modify them, I'm going to do a whole week of mocap, more mocap. And I'll give you guys those files for new stuff. How long does it take to process that? Well, the number of people we have takes about 6 weeks to process 1 day of motion capture to actually get it into the game and working correctly. Oh, food delivery. 1 second. Thank you. So then that guy would be like, I don't believe you. My friend from high school says it doesn't take that long. So he's going to set up a new company to do it. So we'll do all this mocap and give it to him if you guys are incompetent. To do that, that guy's little whatever he set up, they can't do it. And our guys not only have to process whatever stuff they're already assigned to process as part of that, but also fix all these animations that this other place taking all our money couldn't do. Got done. People were worked till 3 a.m. That's just one little example. Here's how it worked. Do crazy thing X. Oh, long conversations. Please don't make us do crazy thing X. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. By the end of his visit, be like, all right, I'm not going to do crazy thing X. Okay. The end of the milestone comes around. Hey, your milestone's conditionally approved. I'll give you money for your milestone, conditionally. Oh, what's the condition? Oh, you remember that thing that you thought you convinced me not to do? Do it. Do it or no money. Do it or failed milestone. So you say, yeah, and you do it. You put aside quality, put aside fixes and everything else, and just do what the person paying you money wants because you have no leverage. And if you just stop working, try to play hardball, well, maybe the studio goes away because you don't get money for those milestones. Next project. After that project, shipped. Everyone on Earth hated it. It didn't make a big enough splash to even have people make fun of it for very long. Next project. I take those learnings. Dealing with guy A from that horrible project to deal with guy B on a new project. Guy B, completely different guy, different source of money entirely. Next project, my favorite project I ever worked on. One of the reasons was because I learned from dealing with the guy on project A, dealing with guy A, certain steps to take to protect ourselves from any potential guy who might want to pull that stuff on another project, which amounted to being more clear. Other projects dealing with guy B, maybe they didn't go so well. Maybe they didn't communicate like that. I don't know. My project, that was like the director on and lead designer, and it was tiny but wonderful. Oh, fine. Then we couldn't find any more money for it, and the company shut down. There's a lot more details in that. But really, communication is so important. I don't know if it would have really worked dealing with Guy A, the things that I did, things that the whole tiny team did with Guy B that did work. I don't know if a time machine that would have worked. And I often ask myself, what could I have done on Project A to make it not one of the worst games that ever shipped? Well, you got worst and you got shipped. Those are the two variables. Guy A comes along, says crazy thing, goes behind people's backs to get stuff that he wants in, even if it's bad for the project. You just don't do that. Be Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks. Legendary comedic actor, director, writer, producer. Had a modus operandi, method of operation, because he was working with movie studios. And he would get in situations that sounded very similar to the situation I was in. Where they'd be like, no money unless you do thing X. You go, oh, thing X might be bad. They're like, no money unless you do thing X. You'd be like, you know what? I think you're right. We will absolutely do thing X. And then he didn't. And the movies came out. Everyone loved them. Would that would have worked in tiny games, little games, small budget games? With the people at the top playing hardball and your responses get hit in the face with baseballs? I don't know. If I would have said no, crazy thing. Or if I would have said, yeah, we'll do the crazy thing. It's going to be awesome. Milestone goes by and it's not there. But the rest of the game's getting better and better because we actually made it better during that milestone instead of doing crazy stuff. Would he have come back around and been like, hey, no, I'm not a producer. The other option is to just, never sign a deal you're not willing to walk away from. Don't enter a negotiation room you're not willing to walk out of before the negotiation's complete. If it's a thing that you need, they'll smell it. They'll walk all over you on the other side of that table. So really, do crazy thing. We're not doing crazy thing. I will not give you money if you don't do crazy thing. I refuse to make a bad game. Your ask will make the game bad. No, I think it'll make it better. No, objectively it won't. Maybe seeing what would have happened in that situation would have worked. Maybe I would have been fired. Maybe the project would have been canceled. Which is better? Shipping a project that does so poorly it tanks the reputation of the studio, which shuts down in a few months anyways, or not shipping the terrible project and finding other work to do. Either way, that chance that everything's going to close down, that still exists. That's always there. Failure is always an option, as the Mythbusters like to say. Being afraid of it, that prevents you from doing things that you might need to do. Which is one of the reasons why I slammed my head into this problem and this project right now with the knowledge that I'm not putting this off because it's too important. Player animations, I will get back to. I'm not doing anything crazy. These guys not shooting? Can you imagine being on a project where someone said that's fine? I will stop paying you money if you fix this problem because I want you to put ponies in now. And you can point out, hey, we need combat. It's not a pony game, it's a combat game. They go, no, I want ponies. No money if no ponies. Do you say, yes, sir, put in ponies now? And then do you put in ponies? Or do you not put in ponies and fix the other problems? I don't know. Rubs me the wrong way. All I know is that with the knowledge I have now, I don't think the terrible game should have shipped. It didn't do anyone any favors. No one cares when we said, yeah, but we shipped it. It was really hard and we did it, even though it was for something horrible. No one cares. All they go is, haha, bad game, stupid devs. And we go, yeah, kinda. Sorry, everyone. My entire career after that point is just trying to make amends with a straw man, a gaming audience that doesn't even exist, doesn't care. They don't know who I am. If they did, they wouldn't know about that game. But it irks me. That's why I'm complaining about it. Design. Enough of this folly. Doot, doot. Last time we were talking about ye olde Scrum. A lot off the cuff. I got on my big soapbox. Today, I say design. I don't know what kind of aspect of design I want to talk about. I guess simple design process. There's a few ways of going about it. Did I plug this thing in? I have a giant mug of liquid on top of it. I should not do that. You working, pen? Hey, look at that. Oh, it's so thin looking. Oh my goodness, be quiet. Where am I? All right, we'll start here. It's like a whiteboard. Man, every time I do this, I have to admit how much I miss whiteboards. If I work at a place that has a return to office with whiteboards, I'd be like, wow, it kind of sucks that I have to go back to an office, but hey, whiteboards. Design process. It is iteration. There you go, you're welcome. That's design. Have a good day. Thanks for coming to the stream. I'll get in a little bit more detail. You got a starting point called ideation. This is your ideas. It's where you think about a thing, feature, whatever it is, whatever problem. Someone says to you, got to design an enemy. You abstract that a little bit. They're saying, I got a problem for you to solve. That problem is making a new enemy. I need to design a mission. Got a problem for you to solve. The problem is making a new mission. It's all problem solving. So when I say think about thing, I mean think about the problem. Simple, right? But I mean deeply. I kind of equate it. You know that scene in the original Tron? Have you ever seen the ancient Tron movie? There's an orange they digitize with the beam. Sends an orange somewhere to the digital world. It'd been funny if that would have shown up. I don't remember if it does, but whatever. And so this beam hits it, and a cube, lines of light appear around the orange. And it makes it like a Rubik's Cube. It's just a cube of cubes. Chunks it up. And it goes dip, 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 and it starts pulling apart the orange. Lighten up one of those squares inside it at a time. One of those cubes. Until it's all gone. That's the problem. That's the thought process. If your problem is orange, then you break it up into smaller parts. And you think about each one of those parts so you have a handle on what parts you need to reassemble into the thing. Break it into parts. Consider each part. Reassemble only useful parts. Got an orange. What's the parts of an orange? Well, it's orange. Literally the color. It's got this rind on it. It has like this calcium-rich white stuff in between the rind and the meat. Peel apart the meat. There's a skin. Inside it are teeny tiny little smaller containers with orange juice in them. That juice is sweet and healthy. The whole thing is kind of squishy, kind of firm. It's on a line. It can rot. It weighs a certain amount on average. It's not very aerodynamic. Water falls off the peel. Bunch of stuff. If you want to implement that orange into a game, so you've broken it down into parts and you're really considering it, what parts of that do you actually put into a game? It's not just the bare minimum to say orange. It's what does your game need from that orange to make it worth having in the game? Well, say it's a game where you can throw stuff. We're going to need to know how hard the orange is, how much it weighs, probably ignoring a simulation for air resistance. Kind of need that curve. Do we need it to be sweet? No, that's going to be narrative if anyone ever talks about it. Unless it's a smart object and there's an NPC looking for something sweet and an orange sits there going, "Come here, I'm sweet. Come to me and play an eating an orange animation. Then your need sweet meter will go down." See? You break it apart, figure out what's useful, what each little part means, say, do we need that? And then when you reassemble it, it's probably going to look like an orange. But you're not the only one doing this. Things like this. Oh, my handwriting is deteriorated. You don't have to do that alone. That's ivory tower design. It's when a wizard goes up into his ivory tower and works on something in seclusion and then comes back down and says, "This is the new spell that changes reality. You shall not question me." And when I say others, it's other people in whatever way, data, user testing, research. It's very valuable. And the more different an individual's perspective is from your own, the more useful the feedback will be. Because you get to look at that orange from an angle you didn't even know existed. So having unique perspectives, or at least perspectives that aren't exactly like your own perspective, great. There's a book. Not exactly about this, but it helps. A book of lenses about game design. Trying to remember the name of the company. Shell. Jesse Shell. He wrote that. He has a company, one of the few game design companies in and around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They've been around a very long time. There's very few straightforward books on game design, but he wrote one of them and it's a classic now. The lenses in the book, and there are many, is really these perspectives. Think about the problem like this. Now think about the problem like this. Now think about the problem like this. Now think about the problem like this. It's something that, over time, a lot of designers just do. They don't even think about it. It's natural. It's a job skill. but it is useful to stop. Occasionally look at that book again. Occasionally go back to the very foundations and see if you're still following them or not. You may have forgotten something useful. I should turn on mute. I'm eating a chicken and rice soup. Hold on. All right. Let's keep going. Design is iteration. What do I mean by that? It has something to do with these ideas of perspective we've been talking about, but we've talked about it a little bit more. You get this idea, you reassemble the useful parts, then you have to whoa, what the heck? Whoa, stop it. What are you doing? Pen, why have you betrayed me? No. Oh my goodness. That was a fun detour. My thumb hit one of the buttons on my pen. You gonna do it? No. Okay. It's worth finishing something once. It's worth finishing it 3 or 4 times in the world of game design. Sometimes your head's on fire. And or you're underwater. Time pressure. Bad thing happening. Can't do this that much. Depending on where you are in the development process, in the game overall, and for each individual thing, yeah, try to do this. And if you can't, well, just be ready for that quality bar to be lower. If you just take first blush everything at every step of the process or in the process of detailing, chances are you'll wish you'd gone back and played with it more. I'm going to drink something now with caffeine in it. I'm now both souped and caffeinated. I don't ever intend to run these only when I'm eating. It just happens that way. There's another part to this. It's kind of generic. Re-examine and do it again. Because this... A... That can also be implementation. Reassemble. If I'm doing a mission, good mission designed, the reassembling might actually be making a prototype of that in the tools. And you could do it again. It's fractal. Do it over and over again. Consider each part? Yeah. With feedback. It's just a loop. You're in the ideation phase, come up with ideas, talk to people, do some research, take it apart, put it together. Say, how about this? People will come and they will poke holes in it. That's fine. That's good. Those are holes that are poked in there that you probably didn't know were there. Take it apart, fix the holes, look at it all again, put it back together again. Implementation gets us to part 2. Prototype means I know I kind of talked about this stuff before, but I'm sloppily writing it down now. Now you need knowledge. The thing that you built, that's probably a document now. But does it mean anything? Prototype. If the prototype shows that the idea was wrong, go redo the idea and then redo the prototype. Show the prototype to other people. Perspectives and feedback. God, I hope this makes sense. I've been doing this for so long. It's like an archaeological dig in my own mind to find these artifacts that make any of this make any sense. So you just do it after a certain amount. Just like, yeah, I've done this enough. I'm just going to keep doing it. Iteration without feedback is bad. Spitballing, throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks. That's what that is. Hey, make this document. All right, here's your document. I don't like it. Why? Bzzz. Absolute silence. No feedback. Do it again. Well, what is it? What was wrong with it? I'm just going to tell you to do it again. If they take the extra step of, if you were better, you would know what was wrong with it already. That's called gaslighting. Anyone who's capable of giving you feedback, when they say thing good or bad, is capable of articulating why. If they don't articulate why, they're either trying to pull some crap or they don't care for whatever reason. People ask me for feedback, and I say, yeah, it's good, no notes sometimes, because I'm busy. Sometimes I read it, and I say, no notes. So they push on me. It's like, well, what's good about it? Like, all right, then I'll do it. So you just get used to just doing it. Oh, it's bad. You got to redo parts. Have you considered this? You have to include that, or else you're wasting literally everybody's time. Iteration without feedback is bad. Always. Always. Now you could find stuff yourself. You can make a prototype and go, oh crap, I need to do this thing, or I forgot to do this thing, or whatever it happens to be. Fine. Bugs, same thing. Find bugs, fix bugs. Geez, fix bugs before they're reported. Everybody wins. Fine. That's part of iteration. But when you're trying to do a major update to something, and all you have is your own thoughts to go on, you have no feedback. That means no research or anything else, because that can only take you so far. It's like artificial feedback. Whenever you search for books and videos and even other games to play as examples, it only gets you so far. You need other people playing the stuff, giving you feedback, and then you don't just do the feedback unless it's a bug, and you fix those bugs. You consider the feedback. You're the one doing the work. You're the one bringing all these separate parts, hundreds or thousands of variables, visible and invisible, together. From budget to bandwidth, resources, engine you're using, assets you have, people in other departments, kind of game you're making, how your desk smells, internal and external variables. And it's different every project, every part of every project. But as a designer, you're pulling all those things together, trying to make something that is what the game needs to be. Fun, engaging, predatory, whatever. Whatever they're paying you to do. That's your goal. And to do that, you need feedback and you need iteration. you're doing iteration correctly, and you're getting your feedback and everything else. Generally, the more iteration you do, the higher the quality of the stuff that you're working on. It's going to be better. It's going to more meet those goals. Quality in this case means whatever you're making's ability to hit the goals of what the project needs. In this specific case, quality in a vacuum is not a term that can be defined. People like to try. I've been at plenty of meetings where someone says, hey, do this. Not going to get money unless you do crazy thing. But that crazy thing's bad. It'll lower the quality. And they say, no, it make quality gooder. Do thing. And like, no. Then you're arguing about quality. Quality in this case isn't going to be defined. You can come at it from a logical standpoint of what the project needs and how an ask from wherever may or may not fit within that. But they'll come back with this amorphous game good, game bad. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. Defend yourself. What do you mean when you say quality? Oh, it's going to make the game better. How so? Make them give you that detailed feedback right there on the spot. If they gaslight you, you can just come back at them and be like, I need your individual perspective on this. I'm not going to make assumptions about the details of your statement. You have to let me know the details. And you can just shut the valve on that gaslight. Being gaslit sucks, especially whenever it's like people in control of your fate and destiny, your ability to survive in society. You know, your paycheck. Luckily, I've had way more experiences with good people who want to make a good game objectively, who understand what they're trying to achieve, than I have with people who don't, who are playing power games, or don't care about the game, want to pad a resume, just want to have a feeling of control over a project that they're the ones being the financial support for, or whatever. Rarer. Thankfully. Man, if I won the lottery, aside from just making sure that me and my friends and family are okay for a very long time with self funds that don't run out and have limits on them so that they keep growing, I would make it like a 20-person studio. Under 30 people for sure. It'll be a studio propped up by investments. My investing outward to other investments that make money over time. So the company wouldn't need to make profit. And then we could just concentrate on making awesome games. And it's not that I like games that take a long time, right? Iteration generally boosts quality. Generally. You spend way too long on something, you might be lost in the wilderness. It might have been good 3 iterations ago, and you're just making it worse. Ooh, imposter syndrome. That thing's like a demon coming for you. But even the best people, sometimes the feedback that they believe in is not good feedback because we're humans and we have brains that are influenced by psychology. It's how brains work. It's another aspect of failure. In hindsight, what would I have done differently? Oh, I would have shipped version 3 instead of version 8. Valid. Learning. Why would you have shipped version 3 instead of version 8? Oh, details. About the thing that... Ah, it makes sense. Next time you're in a similar situation, you evaluate it, say, is this like that situation before? You're the only one that's going to be able to say yes or no to that. Every situation is different. How different? Yeah. It's your situation. Let's get back into Scrum. Ah, that was fun before. We'll do it again. But just for a little tiny bit. Tasks are time boxes. Sprints are time boxes. Yeah. Are tasks time boxes? Regardless, sprints are time boxes. 2 weeks. Whatever the sprint length is. However long is it supposed to be before everyone stops and reviews what's done and then figures out what to do next based on that. Iteration and inspection, that's Scrum. But why is it a time box? Why isn't it work on it forever? It's so that you have a goal point. There's so many things. It forces you to concentrate on the important work. Now, there's a thing I like to call pulling up the floor. We're late in a project. Everyone's like, oh, got to get these big ticket items out there for the game. And that's fine. If you're like, oh, yeah, the game is a game that does these things. You're a superhero and you fight in third person and there's a movement system that's really cool. Yeah, concentrate on all that. But you need to look at the little things that have been left by the wayside. And you need to include a few of those things. They may not seem important in the overall scheme, but whenever you're planning, get a few of just a few of them in. Or else people are going to say, game is bare bones. It's a skeleton with little muscle. You can go too far in the other direction. You can make a big meat blob of a game where you can never see the bones. This thing just a blob? It has no bones. It do too much. But a little bit of it. Feed it a little bit. Pull up that floor. The things sitting on the floor, pull them up. Regardless, concentrate on important work. Working on an enemy. Need to make them fun to fight. What are the attributes of the enemy that translate most into actionable things that you can see and feel on the screen? Tune those. Don't keep making their noises different or something if you're concentrating on the gameplay. Time for that will come. Important work. If you get it pretty good and you still have time left over by the end of the sprint, you can always talk to your Scrum Master about pulling in work, coming up with new tasks. That's fine. Don't plan those out. Under promise, which is to say, sign up for the work that you know you can get done in 2 weeks or however long your sprint is. But as soon as you have that time open at the end of the sprint, because you pushed real hard and you did all the important work already, find some cool stuff to do. Just make sure you communicate it. You know when you have to be done. There's decisions you will make based on time to implement. If you've got a big thing to do that you want to do, but it's going to take longer than your time box, you're going to find other things to do to hit that goal. If you have a thing that's supposed to fit into the time box, but it doesn't, have those conversations. But it's useful to have a time box. In fact, in general, boundaries are great. Oh my God, I hate designing in an open field with no information. A boundary is a definition. Generically, it is, oh, how big is the field I'm in? But it's information. You need to know that you're not going to go 200 miles to the west and be in the same field. It's a little boundary. This means clarity. If you don't have clarity, get it. Ask those questions and be proactive. You going, oh, I'm not really sure about this, and then staying quiet and not doing the thing, not talking to people about it, That is exactly like ivory tower design. That is you making decisions without the information to know if those are the right decisions. That is like iteration without feedback. It's all those bad things. Get up and get the clarity, which is either from others, those perspectives, leads, product owner, whatever, or it's from you. You don't have clarity into something, no one knows what it is. Figure it out, communicate it. It becomes part of whatever you're working on, the feature, the level, whatever. And then there's clarity. In the ideation phase, those conversations you're having at the beginning in meetings or just general chats, or even in Confluence or Wiki, whatever documentation you use, those conversations set boundaries, details, putting a stake in the sand, as some people I know used to say. It's in there and you can see it. It is easily removed because it's in sand, but it's a marker. It's a point of information. So if you don't know the information, find it, and if you can't find it, make it, but then tell other people. Here's an absurd example. Don't know what color to make the orange. I'm gonna make it blue. Why? If you just do that and put in game, in some cases that's okay because it definitely as the people go like, why is that blue? Not the best way to have that conversation. But if you go around and say, hey, I'm gonna make this orange blue, but it says random dev. You went out there and you're like, what color to make the orange? And people are like, I don't know. You're like, okay. And you decide to make it blue. Let people know if you decided to make it blue. Because before you do the actual work, which is the expensive part, people can say, no, make it orange. And you go, oh, orange. That's good. Let me consider that. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like oranges are orange. And then you make it orange. And everyone goes, that's an orange. Instead of that's a bluinge. Like I said, absurd example, but you get the point. We need these things. So much of the job is communication. You are a magnet, not a black hole, because things can't get back out of it. You are a gravity well of all of these different factors coming together that need to be put into something that make players feel the way that they're supposed to feel for that thing. I'm trying to avoid just saying fun. It's supposed to be fun, make players have fun. Not all games do fun. It's a nice shorthand, but hit the goals of the project. You're that fulcrum point. Communicate. Use your perspective. Use other perspectives. Do it a few times if the project allows. Ask for feedback. Consider it and then revise based upon it. Everything's looking good. Ask for more work. Come up with more work and ask if it's okay to work on it in this free time. I can get further into design. There's so many different aspects of it. Being a generalist designer is a little crazy. See, hello, mouse. I'll put it over here. Looks like a toad. In lower budget projects, ah, instead of ah. No, I'm not going to go over 3. 3 A's is all you get. More hats. By hats, I mean roles. And I was talking about stuff that individuals do. How many did I have at once? I was a director, a designer, systems designer, enemy designer, combat designer, producer at one point, progression designer. I don't know, equipment or something. I don't know how much more you want to break it down. It was a lot of things on one project. There's only 10 people in that project on average. I did a lot of design work. I wasn't a level designer. I guess I was a mission designer. We had like multiplayer objectives. There's a bunch of stuff. AAA. Content designer. What you do? Mission design and implementation. Counters and objectives. That's what you're making as a content designer. Maybe you're also a level designer when you're a content designer. Maybe you're a content designer when you're a level designer. This changes between every studio and every project. It's infuriating. But when I was a content designer, I had one job to do every time that I did it, which was a lot. I either wrote or got handed a design and a map. And then I implemented it. And then I iterated on it until it was really good. Over and over and over again. Tons of missions, tons of quests, whatever you want to call them. I've done technically both. And then, I was a systems designer. That's whenever you pick one of these things, combat, whatever else, you just get one of them. But a lead. Sometimes it's a manager. Sometimes it's creative. Sometimes it's both. Manager means you're managing people. Literally the technicalities of managing them. Scheduling. Oh, you're sick. You talk to me about it. I'll make sure all this stuff is up to date. Whatever. Bureaucracy stuff. Creative, that's leadership. That's getting your team on board, getting them to have cool ideas, delegating to them whenever they are doing cool stuff that they want control over that would help the project, all that stuff. AAA studios have more people, so all the work is more parsed out, simply. AA studios do not. They have less people, so each person has to do more work. The vaunted quadruple or quintuple A stuff, get out of here with that. I love how people argue online about what these mean, AAA, AA. It's budget size, period. When they started coining the phrase, it's a shorthand to talk about if it was big budget or not. AAA, big budget, same number of syllables. Don't know why they changed it, but since other things use, I don't know, a bunch of A's to denote quality, That slipped into the vernacular at some point, but it doesn't belong. Just budget. How much money's going in does not assume quality of work. You can spend more money than the rest of the world on something, and the value of the dollars that you put in are far less than some other place putting money in, less money, but those dollars are more valuable. They get more out of each buck. AAA does not denote quality, just budget size. But it also generally denotes how many people are on the project. Over 30 people, and you have to start hiring people to manage people. And then you get even bigger and you have to hire people to manage the people managing the people until people get lost in a bureaucracy. Some studios are able to front thousands of people onto a project. Ugh. That's how you get artists. My job is to paint leaves, but only the autumn leaves that have fallen on the ground. I paint rocks of a certain size and type. Oh, you studied for years to be a game artist and you're just making rocks of a certain size and type? Yeah. Oh, let me see your portfolio. Oh my God, you've done all this awesome stuff. Why do they just have you making rocks? AAA. Oh, that's not to say that AAA is bad or good things can't happen in it. Absolutely can. Some games simply cannot be done at a smaller budget. And sometimes those are really great experiences. That's the whole point. Here's a little experience generator. People be creative, make experiences, you experience it and go, I've experienced that. And maybe you do something in your life that's like, oh, I would have done thing A, but now I'm going to do thing B because I've had experiences virtually that I think are applicable to this situation. It can happen. A boy can dream. But those smaller things, those tinier games that are like crazy one-off things that wouldn't get done in the same way under AAA, or the bureaucracy would, I don't know, make it lose its heart. I mean, you could have something awesome and meaningful. Look at Cyberpunk. Now, it works. It's good. It's great, even. I'm not ashamed to say Cyberpunk's a great game. I really like it. I'm playing through it again. Could I have done that with 10 people in 2 years? No. No, not even, no. No. I could have made a game. It could have been cyberpunky and feel. That budget would have only supported a certain amount of a certain kind of gameplay. Would it have looked as good? No. You need a lot of people to make it look that good. But it's big? No. You need a lot of people to make it that big. Have all these interconnected systems? No. Have a few interconnected systems at best. Budget. Undertale. Awesome. Smaller budget. Not tiny budget. Not AAA. A game that's so good it makes me sad that I am never going to make it myself. I don't know if I ever would. But when I was a kid, the kind of games I wanted to make that really resonate with people and do interesting things that are fun and have this good story and oh, it's right there. Someone else made it. Depressing from a certain perspective. Exhilarating from just being a player who likes it. What would AAA Undertale look like? I don't know. Probably wouldn't be called Undertale anymore. It'd be completely different. Let me date myself. Way back in the day, when Electronic Arts was Electronic Game Arts, they dropped the game out of their name at one point. They were EGA. Carl Butler made a game called Sentinel Worlds 1 Future Magic. I played it on a 8086 Tandy 1000 SL. I was very young. It was mind-blowing. Here's what it was. It was a science fiction game where certain people had magic-y like psychic abilities. You had a spaceship that you could fly around to different planets in a system with your team of people that filled different roles, each one with their own equipment and stuff. And when you got into a planet, went into orbit, you dropped a 6-wheeled ATV down with a turret on top to explore the planet. And you could find places that your people could go into. And then they could explore places and get in real-time combat. Yeah, I'm not explaining Mass Effect intentionally, but that was Sentinel Worlds 1. Future Magic. EGA, I bring this up, because you could find their offices in the game. And you can get Nerf guns. It's a hidden area. It's very cute. And on some of the walls, as you wandered around, you could see written, and I say see written, there's like a top-down thing that was abstract, just had symbols for people that moved around, and then in the background there was like just a generic gray box, vectorish hallways you're wandering around with no other art. Unnecessary, but okay. But anyways, you would walk to places, and then one of the outputs would show you what you saw in every square you're in. And one of them was, can a video game make you cry? Imagine being in the industry so early. I'm not talking about crying in frustration. Plenty of games have done that for a long time. But emotionally, being so invested in a game that it brings tears to your eyes. Back then, no one's done it. No one, not even the biggest companies, were able to do that back then. The tools were not at a point where they could do that. Maybe if you had some really good text adventure, that's probably the closest that you could get. Because books can make you cry. So a game that is a book could make you cry in theory, but I don't know if any of them ever did. So they made that game asking that question. They tried as hard as they could with the technology at the time to really get that stuff, get you in the fields, get you involved in the world. But there was something lacking in the connection between the audience and the game at that point. It wasn't even the whole use your imagination to fill in the gaps. It just wasn't landing. Great game I fondly remember. Mass Effect is the game that answers that question. Very similar in a lot of ways. I don't think it's intentionally. I don't think someone went back and said, yep, Sentinel Worlds 1, Future Magic, make that into Mass Effect now, steal all their ideas. Maybe they're influenced. Maybe they played when they were a kid like I did. Or maybe that's just the ideas that came together and were compelling, and there's no connection there. Even with EA. Undertale, not cinematic. Mass Effect, cinematic. Mass Effect, emotional things happen and you can feel it, partly because it so often borrows the language of cinema. Movies have been able to make people feel for a long time. Commercials even do it now. They borrow the language of cinema to make the audience feel. So there's a connection that makes them think about the thing when it's over. Undertale, it's not really cinematic. I mean, it has a few scenes, Ninja Gaiden-esque quality scenes, NES kind of stuff. But it's the coming together of the narrative and the characters and the world and your actions and everything in this kind of brilliant, magical way. A version of Undertale could have existed back when Sentinel Worlds 1 came out. Could have. Would have been different in a lot of ways. Maybe the technology of the time would have made it just a bit too cheesy for it to actually have an emotional resonance. Music probably wouldn't have been as good unless you had a really good. I didn't even really have sound cards back then. I know that Sentinel Worlds has vastly different music. The Tandy 1000 SL had a pretty good sound processor on it, but it was before the Sound Blaster style, buy a different card and slap it in your computer kind of thing. We're right there at that point. And I was a really little kid. I remember the music. And whenever I emulate it, it doesn't have that music. And I can't get the Tandy sound to work on it. So the music's always worse. But maybe Undertale could have had similar music. Would have Undertale have been emotional? Would it have answered EA's question in the 80s? I don't know. I just find it interesting that that question was answered in a bunch of different ways, but also by AAA. So you can't say that a AAA game automatically has no heart because they can make you feel. They obviously can have heart. AA games don't always have heart. Look at the game I'm making. All right, Miro, get out of here. Boop. Is this game going to have heart? Are you going to play it and be like, oh, I now know the plight of the eyeball guys and no longer wish to kill them. I've made friends with the king of the floating eyes. He is my best friend now. Pat, pat, pat. No, absolutely not. Why? Boundaries. If I start going down that road, I'm talking about a different game than what I've been spending this time building. Not that it can't be done, but if I do that, nothing else is going to get done until that happens. This game will stop being what it is right now, for better or for worse. So I'm not doing it. I have a clear boundary of this being an action game. Action and combat. I've set my boundary. I know the edge of my field, and I'm going to have to pull those in at some point. It's going to be more stakes in the ground and more definition. But that's okay, because I'm making the game, and I'm learning, which is really what this is about right now is just the learning part. Making sure I don't get stale or rusty or calcified. Yeah. Well, I've rambled for long enough. Here's what I'm going to do next. I've complained. I've talked about design, not as in depth as I did with good old Scrum. But it's been a thing that I did. I set my little goals for my little time box. I think I hit them. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching in whatever form, wherever this happens. I'll get more of this streaming stuff figured out and what I'm doing here. But it's still fun. See you next time.